20 years ago, social worker Robert Glover and his wife Liz moved to Shanghai with their 6 young children. Robert looked to spearhead the first ever joint social welfare venture between the British and Chinese governments.
I was with the Chinese government people and I didn't understand a word of what they were saying. And then one chap stood up and he said, "I want to tell you the meaning of your Chinese name." And he said, "As many stars there are in the sky, you'll be father to children in China."
This is the story of 1 million children. A 3,000-year-old civilization and the birth of an idea. Shanghai, China's wealthiest city. Its skyscrapers are temples to the spirit of enterprise. But its veneration for the family is rooted in ancient tradition. "20 years ago, Ai Liang lived in an orphanage.
可能我就一直待在里面了。可能那个时候我就不知道外面的世界是什么样子的。
At the age of 5, Ai Liang became one of the first foster children in China's history, and today her gratitude knows no bounds.
我就是叫他少买一点，我自己也有退休工资，就不要让他再费心了。他还是比较操心的，一直妈妈你要买什么衣服，我说不要，他会给你买。哎，就试试看好吧。哪能跑啊？那么薄啊？有薄那么大。
Sheng Wei-chin and her husband Lu Wushun decided to become China's first ever foster parents after learning the details of Ai Liang's early childhood.
当时也是他们放在他们福利院门口的，把爱莲放在福利院，所以他还是找到福利院去。最主要还是带给我们欢乐吧，气氛不一样，有女儿跟没有女儿有很大区别。
Ai Liang may be a happy and successful young mum today, but when she was 5, any kind of future seemed an impossibility. Countless children were growing up without hope. But something utterly extraordinary was about to happen. And it involved a former professional footballer from Norwich, Robert Glover. Robert had moved from sport to social work, and his work with young offenders had won him a reputation for ripping up the rulebook. When Robert learnt about the situation in China, he felt impelled to act. Robert travelled to Shanghai at his own expense and secured an invitation to a formal dinner for local officials and international charities.
Sat next to this senior member of the Communist Party, retired, and we got chatting and we got on quite well. There were some other foreigners and they were all wagging their fingers and telling them off and telling them they're doing it all wrong, and I was just enjoying the food. It was just lovely food. And really, I suppose I was just being sociable. You know, I was in their country, I was their guest. I just said, you know, I come with a heart to serve and to see if there's any way we could help.
可以这样说，每一次我见他，没有一次他不开玩笑的。
Chinese do everything through guangxi, which means relationship. It's very much over food. It's very much getting to know and trust, and face is very important in China. You don't make anyone lose face. You know, you keep their honor and face. So it's very important.
我感到很亲切，很自然。
Astonishingly, Robert's friendly approach and genuine love of Chinese food achieved what the entire Western establishment had failed to do for years.
There was some shuffling going on, and the top guy said to one of the others, get rid of the other guys and get Robert back for dinner. And they started asking me about, you know, why should children be families, and how do we get there, and how do we do this, and how does that work, and how does this work? And so just really answering some of the questions, and then Guy looks at me in the eye and says, will you come back and help us? I'm like, wow.
Robert's breakthrough would change history, but it would come at massive personal cost.
We had a beautiful old farmhouse in Guernsey, just up the road from lovely beaches, field with chickens.
Robert and his family were the very heart of the close-knit community on this small island in the English Channel.
The Glovers were certainly different and exciting to be around, but you never knew what was going to happen next. It was quite crazy because it was sort of a whole herd of them.
And because they're all blonde as well, they are quite a spectacle, if you like.
They would be the life and soul of the party. And it was always just, just a laugh all the time.
They had a lot of love to show for young people and for kids. I mean, somebody like a Bob's stature, he could come over as quite intimidating, but he wasn't. All the kids just warmed to him. And they just thought he was like a big bear.
We both were saying we want to be effective somewhere. We didn't want to just sit. So by the time China came along, we were pretty ready, although there was still a lot of preparation to be done.
It was scary. I'd never been to China. I didn't have a clue what it meant to live there and actually to take our 6 children. But the thing that made it feel more secure was that we would be helping other children that were in much worse conditions and much worse situations than my children.
Dad said, this is what I think we need to do. We need to move to China, and I think I burst into tears.
When we left Guernsey, we felt very strongly that we probably wouldn't return. We didn't want to be looking back. We didn't want to be thinking about the past. And so there was something liberating and something really rich about giving everything away. And as we did that and things went, you start to focus on going forward rather than back. And all we had left was our mattresses. So the final bit was to go up and have this little time together and set fire to our mattresses and say goodbye to Guernsey. It was, goodbye. And from that point, again, there was this freedom, this liberty that just broke through, that we were going to China. It was a change point, it was a new direction. Lois often talks about she cried a lot. In some sense, for a little 10-year-old girl, it was almost like going to give her life for this cause.
Living in Guernsey, you're a very small community compared to going, as the Glovers did, to Shanghai, to a huge bustling city with millions of people. A huge challenge for a young family.
Yeah, I was upset that they went. The daily contact and the strong friendship that we have and had. I knew that they were doing the right thing, but I don't think you realised how special that time was.
Before they could leave, Robert needed the final approval from Lord Lei Ming, the Chief Inspector of Social Services.
I thought to myself, he doesn't know China very well, he doesn't speak the language, and he's going to take 6 children with him to a country where there's a 1 child per family policy. And I thought, this doesn't seem to me to be practical. But then I thought about it overnight, and I thought, if this project changes the lives and the life opportunities of, say, only 20 children, it has been worthwhile. So I told the government I supported it entirely.
The family of 8 would be travelling almost 10,000 kilometres from a rural island with a population of 60,000 to the most populated city in China.
We didn't understand the language and we didn't understand what was going on.